Hey everybody, I'm just contacting you to let you know that there is finally high-quality Valve News Network merch available through CrowdMade. Link down in the description below. You want a sweatshirt with the VNN logo? You got it. You want your very own speculation t-shirt? You got it. You want a t-shirt reminding Valve that they tried to sell us paid sprays and they still do? You got it. Check it out, link down in the description below. Thank you very much for supporting me, and let's get on with the video. Back in January of 2017, Gabe Newell did an AMA on r/theGayBen. This was a monumental occasion personally for me, because it led to me being invited to Valve for the first time and interviewing Gabe Newell in person. But what was important to us now is that Ido Magal, longtime Counter-Strike team member, talked about how Source 2 might or might not be in Counter-Strike Global Offensive's future, due to how Source 2 is a massive system of rewrites, and every system might possibly not be good or important or beneficial to Counter-Strike as a game. Now that was in January of 2017, and what happened over the years was a shift in opinion at Valve, and it seems as if Source 2 for CSGO has been developed for a few years, and so we're going to be going over all of the history of Counter-Strike Global Offensive in Source 2 throughout the last few years, and all leading up to a massive leak that just took place in a recent DOTA 2 update. Now, of course, everything that we discuss on this channel, regardless of evidence, data mined leaks, or leaks from sources, has to be considered speculation, as until Valve confirms something, it is up in the air. It could change. So, with all of that said, take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, and of course, speculation. Ido Magal, talking to the community in that aforementioned Gabe Newell AMA, said, quote, Source 2 is a bunch of system rewrites. For CSGO, we evaluate these systems on individual merits. Some CSGO rework is in progress, such as the UI that utilizes parts of Source 2. Other systems might follow. Some Source 2 systems might never be right for CSGO. Here's a relevant anecdote. When we used to be approached about Source 2 at majors, we would ask, what are you hoping Source 2 will do for CSGO? And for a while, the response was, I expect hitboxes to be better. Moving everything to Source 2 would not actually solve that problem. We just went ahead and spent time working on better hitboxes. Of course, the UI rework that Ido Magal is talking about here came out in 2018 as the Panorama UI update. I then went to Valve and interviewed both Ido Magal and Brian Leventhal within Valve's offices, and Doug Lombardi, who was moderating the interview, stated that Source 2 was in the future for every in-development Valve project, to which Ido agreed with. And it was only a few months after that, on April 11th, 2017, that during the Perfect World CSGO launch keynote event, which was the Chinese release of Counter-Strike Global Offensive, that Perfect World themselves announced 128 tick, massive improvements to anti-cheat, real-time matchmaking, and Source 2. And it's still up in the air whether or not what Perfect World was talking about was actually legitimate and told to them in confidence by Valve. However, they also announced a new operation which happened with Hydra. The improved anti-cheat has been seen with VacNet. Real-time matchmaking and 128 tick, though, we'll just have to see. And leaks continue to happen within Dota 2, SteamVR, Underlords, and Artifact, Source 2 projects that Valve is currently working on, leading everyone to believe that a Source 2 port would be happening at any moment. And then, on February 3rd, 2020, an update was pushed to Dota 2 that extended the deadline for the New Bloom update and increased the level cap by 30 for the event pass. Unimportant, but this update somehow internally was enormous. The history of data mining Source 2 projects usually leads us to believe that we're going to find something related to Half-Life Alyx or possibly Artifact, but instead we found nearly 100 strings related to CSGO using Source 2 related engine features in a build of some sort. We do know that there is an unknown DLC within CSGO's app ID on Steam, according to SteamDB, and this DLC may be an internal beta build of the Source 2 engine. It's very likely that after Valve were to release the full Source 2 Reborn CSGO update, this unknown beta DLC would likely still be hidden. However, what we're seeing within these leaked strings have to do with the visual aspects of Counter-Strike Global Offensive, things like 3D skyboxes, the rendering pipeline, and post-processing effects such as cube maps, MSAA, depth of field, field and ambient occlusion. The strings are scrolling across your screen right now. We're not going to go over each individual string here. There are different interpretations of what's actually going on here. It's possible that the visual pipeline of Source 2 will be backported again into the cowiest of all engines, the CSGO engine currently. That sounds like a nightmare, but they ported Panorama. XPaw, one of the co-creators of SteamDB, specifically stated, quote, "From the looks of it, they just copied the VR renderer and replaced all instances of VR with CSGO. A practical explanation would be they wanted to port the renderer to the current CSGO engine, which is already heavily modified Source." My interpretation is that there is a CSGO Reborn update in the works, and this is something that fellow YouTuber Gabe Follower apparently has a source telling him this information. It seems as if there is a new update in the works that will seamlessly move Counter-Strike Global Offensive into Source 2, very similarly to the way that Reborn happened in Dota 2 in 2015, and the Panorama update happened in 2018. However, evidence to substantiate these claims is few and far between, and pretty much is only sourced from discussions with people that themselves have been unverified. That said, these same rumors also seem to be porting towards Counter-Strike Global Offensive receiving a virtual reality mode or a VR CSGO game being in development. This is an interesting idea. However, remember, it's all speculation. This is some true speculation being discussed right now. A lot of these strings are directly referenced as VR strings as well in other parts of the code. As XPaw stated, it just seems like Valve took the VR strings and replaced it with CSGO. At the same time, you have a lot of VR strings being added within this update as well, right next to the CSGO strings. Of course, this is likely to do with Valve taking the VR rendering pipeline and shoving it into Counter-Strike Global Offensive to save development time. However, it would be interesting to see Valve take on Pavlov and create a very polished Counter-Strike Global Offensive experience in virtual reality. Don't quote me on that. It's not something I have any proof towards or anything to substantiate those claims. It is, of course, all speculation. That said, Counter-Strike Global Offensive in Source 2 is something that we have been promised and discussing for the last 3 years, and it seems as if it's closer than ever, and it seems as if it's more real than ever. So we're going to be following up on any of this information when we have information to follow up on. If you want to be able to follow this story as it unfolds, subscribe to Valve News Network because I will be on top of all of this. If you want to be able to follow up on all of the other topics I cover on this channel in real time, check out my Twitter page, linked down in the description below. It's at Valve News Network. Okay. If you want to support these videos, check out my Patreon page, linked down in the description below. And if you're confused about anything or have a question about anything, my DMs on Twitter are always open and on Discord. And of course, my email is tylermcvicker@yahoo.com. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Tyler McVicker. This is Valve News Network. Have a good day. Adios.